Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here. Got my guy TC. 1 hour challenges on. Hello, Mr. TC.
Hey, Soly. A lot of golf this week. A lot of golf going
So
on.
much golf.
We're up against it with the 1 hour challenge.
We are, but listen, a lot of other sports going on. I think I think a lot of attention was pretty diversified. So run a show for tonight. We're going to recap the week on the back end. There'll be a short interview I had with David Duval from this past Thursday. Kept it brief. It was a tight little window I had in there. I would love to sit and chat golf with that guy for about 2 hours. If you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize profusely for the way the episode ends or way the video ends, which cuts off at 30 minutes of recording. And I did not get the end of the video. We have all the audio, but David finishes the interview incredibly. And it's maybe one of my greatest regrets I have in NLU history of running a one-man shop up there. And I could not have a 30-minute limit on the clips of the videos. And I was not able to get to the camera in time to finish it. So if you're wondering why that happens, apologies for that. Tyrrell Hatton wins the Dunhill. The Soldier Boy, Kevin Yu, wins the Sanderson in a playoff. Rocco Mediate wins the Furican Friends on the Champions Tour. And Braden Thornberry shoots the low round of the day by 2 shots, a 66 to win by 1, jump into the top 30, and secure his 2025 PGA Tour card on the Korn Ferry Tour. Braden plays a Pro V1X golf ball and a Titleist setup that includes his new GT3 driver, T100 irons, Vokey wedges, and Scotty Cameron fastback Tour prototype putter. He's one of 23 Titleist golf ball players to earn their tour card, compared to 3 for the nearest competitor, with 84% of the field this week having teed up a Pro V1 or Pro V1X. That is what it says. Turns out when you can play whatever golf ball you want down there, probably on the Korn Ferry Tour, a lot of them are going to play Titleist. Among this year's KFT graduates, Titleist was also the most played driver with 13 players, iron with 12 graduates, and wedge with 17 grads carrying at least one Vokey. Ask any player who competes at the highest levels of the game. You can't play your best golf if you're not dialed into every piece of your equipment. Visit Titleist.com to learn more and find a fitting near you. TC, I thought we were going to have to lead with a TIO disaster at the Sanderson. I know there ended up being some TIO in the playoff, which I was less upset about than I was about what almost happened in regulation. We're going to get to all that, but I think the tournament of the week was, of course, the Dunhill Links. A lot of news coming out of that one. A lot of live guys in the field. We got Jay and Yasir playing together, hamming it up, laughing it up, taking photos, hugging out there, just what everyone wants to see.
Love you, dog.
Let's get these tours back together, dog. Tyrrell Hatton opened with 65, 68, then shot a 61 at the old course on Saturday to open up a lead. And on Sunday, he was absolutely cruising. It was 4 under on the day, had a big lead, and drove it in the coffin bunkers on 13, made double, then made bogey on 14, the par 5, after driving it in the bunker as well. His lead was cut down to 1 over Nicholas Colsaerts. Nicholas Colsaerts then birdied the 15th hole to tie the lead, get to 17, playing back into the wind. The whole back nine was just playing awesome. Hatton took the aggressive line off 17, hit a great 7-wood over the road hole bunker to the back pin, left of the green. He took the road out of play, took the road hole bunker out of play, hit it in the easiest spot to make par from. Colsaerts was over in the second fairway and had a lot more difficult route. Had to end up making about a 10-footer that was a couple feet outside the hole to save par on that one. They get to 18, and Hatton hit an fantastic bump and run through the Valley of Sin on 18. Ran it up, landed at the bottom of the Valley of Sin, skipped it up the hill, ran it up to, it said 1 feet 9 inches, looked a little longer than that, but yeah, he would end up making that birdie. Colsaerts was closer, but tried to putt through the Valley of Sin, did not get enough on it, left himself 8 feet short, missed it low, and then Hatton drained the little shorty and wins his 3rd Dunhill Links Championship. Great tournament. That was some great watching this morning.
Yeah, and he finished second with his dad too.
A lot of people were mad about his dad's pace of play. I couldn't get myself worked up with it. I think pace got pretty tough there on the back nine, but he was. I feel like I was watching a lot of his dad there on the back nine.
Yeah, Torbjorn Olesen and Dermot Desmond ended up winning the all important amateur team competition. They won by 2 as well. They shot 58-59 on the weekend, which is that's gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah,
right. No, but yeah, Hatton played great. Colsaerts, like, he's only 41. I feel like he's been around for 35 years now, and he's involved with the European Tour Ryder Cup, or the European side of the Ryder Cup, ASCAP these days. And I don't know, good to see a little late career renaissance from him here. This is the one that got away from Tommy, more so than other ones, I think. played the 18th hole at St. Andrews, even par for the weekend. He was on St. Andrews. I thought he was going to be primed heading into Saturday, and just didn't get it done. So, not what we were looking for. 13 gave him trouble today. We got another Dane, Rasmus Neergaard Peterson, another Danish Rasmus. Finished T4. David Puig, Haotong Lee sighting.
David Puig shot 29-39 today. Let's not lose track of that. Went out
Yeah.
in 29, looked like he was going to go hunt people down, and then going back into the win on the old course did not go so well for him.
And then Rom, another good performance from Rom after flying all over the world here on the back end of his wife having their third kid. So he's qualified now for all of the Abu Dhabi, Dubai events at the end of the year, which huge. So I saw Billy Ho was big week for Billy Ho, playing with the commissioner this week, hanging out with Yasir. I saw he flew EasyJet today to France, and he posted that. people were aghast.
I was wondering if you're going to go to that first or maybe the Monahan thing first, but I'm
Yeah.
not surprised you went airlines first on that one. What do you make of the whole Jay and Yasir thing? I have my thoughts, and I'm curious your thoughts here.
Yeah, I feel like Jay, I don't know. I think Jay kind of called the DP World Tour's bluff a little bit and said, "Hey, I need to get my ass over there. I need to." I'm sure Johan Rupert. I'm sure he was doing the matchups or doing the pairings and the draw and everything. You had Ari Emanuel in the field. Like, I'm sure there's all sorts of conversations being had across the board over there. You got the RNA over there. You got all sorts of movers and shakers. But I think that there's been some stuff afoot with, I don't know if Guy Kinnings is leading it or Rory or whomever, but as far as, hey, if the PGA Tour doesn't want to act here and they just want to slow play this whole thing, then PIF teams up with the DP World Tour and, does something on that front. So I think Jay's fighting, I think he's over there trying to be proactive about fighting that off. I could be wrong on that though.
Yeah, I mean, he did say that Billy had asked him back in April to play it, so I don't know if he accepted back then or if this was a late change in things or what the actual timeline is. I guess from where I'm sitting, I I just so much of what is going on in the scene of all these guys playing tournaments together again, and just the general vibe with everyone is just like it's almost like they're just like expecting people to forget everything that's going on or counting on you to just
Oh, they think we're like really, really dumb.
right.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm just a little pissed off again by the whole laughing it up, hammering it up, fist pounding, playing together, hugging it out. Like, yo, we're kind of relying on you guys to get this done. I get that it's complicated. Rory had some comments this week just of like, I mean, I agree with that, or like, yeah, big financial transactions like this take a ton of time, and I get all that, but I'm still just like trying to scream from the rooftops of like the long-term damage you're doing by the longer this drags out and not giving it. Look, this is a signal to people that things are going in the right way, right? That's kind of what I'm asking for on a certain front, but like there's no guarantees from anyone that there's any end in sight to any of this, and there's no guarantees from anyone or hints to anyone from anyone as to what the schedule is going to look like, what we're all doing. So like, yeah, it's just a little hard to get super amped about you laughing it up, hamming it up after all the damage that's been done. Like, help me with this. Why is everyone, at least on the PGA Tour side, so chummy with Yasir? Like, I get it. He's supposed to be a great guy, great hang, all this stuff. Like, this man has rolled a grenade into professional golf, has made a lot of these guys, yeah, it made a lot of these guys richer in some way, but like, made life pretty miserable for a lot of them on a lot of front. I just kind of am amazed by this whole like, yeah, look at this guy. Look how funny he is. Look how great he is. This is incredible what you're doing for the game of golf. Maybe
I mean,
money
it's the
just
same
rules
reason our
today.
politicians go over to Saudi Arabia and glad hand
I
with,
guess.
MBS and the king and all of that, right? It's, I think I just have a problem with like him being the one to, kind of dictate how it looks here moving forward. I think I have big problems with that because these are the guys that got us into this and made it worse at every possible step, at every possible juncture with how they've misplayed it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the other thing, just with it seems like the tour is trying to slow play this until the start of 2025. Like, they do not
Yeah.
want anything to happen until the start of 2025, which is so tough to square with all of the all the grandstanding or all of the this is so complicated, and like I don't think they want to even start the process of bringing everybody back together until it's like for 2026. I think
Is this for contract reasons for Liv, do you think? Like, is it
I think that's
that's a
part of it. I
scary
think some of
game.
it's punitive. Yeah, of hey, these guys screwed some of their peers over. Some of them need to be kind of cast aside, rendered without a place to play, and kind of let some of these things, because it's also certain eligibility back onto the PGA Tour expires at the end of this year as well, or I guess once next year starts. And so I think some of it is like that's what I've heard from people with the tour all along. Like it's wait until 2025. There's a punitive, vengeful aspect of this.
That's great.
Which, it just feels a little greedy, right? Of like, man, like that should be a lot farther down the priority list.
Which, if anything, if you've not learned the lesson on like don't play games with these fuckers, like look what they did with Rom last year. I mean, do not make them reach back into those wallets. Like, if you're banking on them not doing another round of that, like you signed an agreement with them last year to not do it. DOJ was saying no, you can't really do that, but still in good faith, we're like, all right, we're not going to do this, right? And then they did it anyways. And so if you think they're not going to do it all over again, you probably will be sadly mistaken. And there's a lot less reason for guys to say no these days. Like if you're some of these guys that turn down big money and you're not confident where it's going, I have no reason to think that there won't be more guys that jump ship. So
Honestly, at this point, I'm almost rooting for it. Like, I would say, Hideki, go get the bag, man. Like,
I don't know why
yeah,
people haven't. It's just so hard
yeah.
to. I don't know. It's hard to really feel confident in the vision on things on the other side. I guess it still just feels like a house of cards. Anyways, we could spend all day talking about that. We're not going to do that. Some comments from Rory. As I mentioned, he said, I think by year's end, whether the public investment fund will invest in PGA Tour enterprise, but that doesn't solve the problem of where we find ourselves in golf, the schedule, and everything. I mean, I'd say we'll know by the end of the year whether that's a possibility or not, but I think all tours are going to keep trucking along and doing their own thing for the foreseeable future. I think the best thing we can maybe hope for is a bit of crossover between them. And then maybe while that is happening over that period of time, whether it be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, just trying to figure out the rest. I think the hard thing is there are legal precedents that have been set in America and here that makes it very different. That's the big thing. No one likes lawyers. I certainly don't. And yeah, that's a big part of the issue. I think there's a willingness from all parties to try it and get it to happen, but you've got tons of lawyers in the middle of it. So this
I'm sure that's
massive
true.
mess.
I
Yeah.
also don't need to hear from Rory anymore on all this, and he seems to be the one talking about the schedule more than anybody else. The schedule, the schedule, the
That's the only
schedule.
thing we
Whereas
care about.
I think all of his peers don't give two shits about the schedule. You know what I mean? Like they just want to play in the or all of his peers on the PGA Tour just want to play in the United States, and that ain't it either. With the exception of Billy, who I respect for going over
Well, I
there
think he
quite
means the
often.
schedule between PGA Tour and Live, right? Of how they can get lockstep with each other in terms of not be overlapping. I think is kind of what he means.
Like I also read into that though that he's talking about a worldwide tour as well, and having more tournaments globally, and having more overlap between DP World Tour and PGA Tour and all of that too.
Yeah, that's where I think he's run into a lot of headwind and probably will. So Matt
That's
Fitzpatrick.
where that I think that's where it's like, all right, then you know what? Like call their bluff. Only play 10 to 12 times on the PGA Tour. I think he's a lifetime member at this point, right? I don't think he has to play a
No.
minimum number of events.
Matt Fitzpatrick said, I think in terms of bringing the game together this week, I'm past the point of caring. I just don't care. Me saying things to the PGA Tour board, me saying things to the DP World Tour board, it's not going to change. So why am I going to waste my time talking about it?
He's still miffed about the driver ruling
He really is.
from BMW.
I appreciate that insight, Fitz, because you are spot on. Like there's just it also like, dude, yeah, you're one of 200 people whose opinion is in play here. Yeah, maybe all your ideas aren't going to necessarily get put right into fruition because it is complicated. This next one, TC, man, your boy,
Yeah.
you got to take us here. Big Shot Bob wants the road hole, which I think
We're not calling him Big Shot Bob. We're calling him Road Hole Rob now. Okay. I had a friend message that over earlier. I can't take credit for it.
I think you and I would maybe consider that also to be the best hole in the world. He says he wants the road hole to be blown up. He said, blow it up. I don't think there are many worse holes in world golf. His description of that was, I think this is from Bunkered. His description was, I think it's a terrible hole off the back tee. It doesn't need to be modernized. To bring excitement, it needs to be a hole where you're able to hit a golf shot into and not one where you just hit it onto the green and try to get up and down. It almost plays like a par 5. They try to do things to this course that don't need to be done. Today, I rifled off a drive off the tee and then a 4-iron, and I was furthest up the hole. I don't know what that means. So, look, maybe he gave more quotes as to why it's not, he wants the hole to be blown up. I don't know if it's just the back tee means you just have to blow the hole up, but for a Scot to not get the concept of the road hole it's damning, TC. And I need to know what your status is here.
Soly, big announcement here. Big announcement.
Let me get my sparkling water down.
I am repudiating all fandom of road hole Rob.
Wow.
This is like strike 5, if we're being honest. Every time the cameras cut to him this weekend, he was cussing somebody out or
stared Rory down or Rory driving the green.
Yeah, just really, like just not my cup of tea. And the pace of play sucks. I guess all of his peers over there hate him. It's just not good.
If you're gonna do this, I'm gonna need one more thing.
I apologize.
Wow.
I apologize.
Whoa, what a night this is. Honey, get in here. You're not gonna believe this.
I've been talking to some of my Scottish friends. For anybody to say that, we would blow them up. For a Scot to say that, it's reprehensible. And the son of a greenkeeper who played with his dad this week. Like, why was he in such a dour mood all week? You're playing in a glorified,
it's a hit and giggle,
like hit and giggle with a family member for hundreds of thousands of dollars, Bob. I'm not sure if he's upset because he's a lefty and it's tougher to play the road hole as a lefty.
Is it?
Well, I don't think I'd want to be drawing one.
Yeah.
Over. Like, I'd rather hit the fade.
Okay.
Right. I think I would rather cut one in than drawing one and getting it screaming.
I got a round of applause to your consistency on this, because I was ready with your quote on Nick Dunlap when he had some comments at the Walker Cup.
Exactly.
And you're consistent on this. I was not expecting this.
I'm an Old Testament dude.
I want to clarify. Are you apologizing to me? I was going to ask for an apology to me. Are you apologizing to me for the way you...
apologizing directly to you?
Okay, thank you. That is important.
and to the golf world at large. Beyond that, I apologize for holding this guy's water for the last few years. It's really, really frustrating. So by all accounts, he's treated some caddies poorly. He's treated some members of his team poorly. And he's just not all that well liked. And I feel like if he wasn't Scottish, like, people would really, really be after him. The only reason he's gotten a pass up to this point is because he's Scottish. So,
and this is, I can't wipe the smile off my face. Like, all the years of me trying to hold you accountable here. This feels incredible. I never got this far in my dreams.
Listen, circumstances change, man. I'm open-minded. All right. People have to give me credit for evolving my positions. Right?
It is not a sign of weakness to change your opinion about something or someone, TC. So I applaud that. Guys, there's a reason we talk about Rhoback so much. I'm absolutely amped for some of their new offerings. I went and got this for you, TC, because I want to show it off. Sorry for the listeners on the podcast. The hybrid jacket. Have you seen this thing yet?
I have not. No.
This thing is awesome. I am stoked when it does finally get cold here in maybe 2 to 3 months. I'm going to be rocking this everywhere, all over Jack's. Performance joggers. I got some of these on as well. Neil made the sale on these for me a couple weeks ago. I'm close to having the gym shorts in every color, because I was kind of basing my
so good
laundry days around making sure I had a pair of those to wear around the house. You know about the hoodies. I had to go with the hoodie. I got thrown up on earlier today.
Well, they got those new hoodies too. They got those Blitz hoodies.
I got one of those, the white ones. Their offerings are incredible. If you're not shopping at Rhoback, you're truly missing out. The multi-print polos, the shorts, the actual shorts. I got the performance pants too. They're making pants now, like for the golf course. The crew necks are fantastic. The bathing suit. They got officially licensed college gear. Go to Rhoback.com. Use code NLU for a generous 20% off your first order through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com. 20% off bottoms, Q-zips, hoodies, and more. Code NLU. Fall is not the same without Rhoback. Sanderson Farms. We have a situation arriving. I didn't get to watch a ton of this until the very end. I watched the last several holes, but our boy Keith Mitchell was in the lead going into today, was going in the lead with a couple holes to play. Bo Hostler made a long birdie putt on the 17th hole to tie Mitchell at 23 under. Up ahead, the Soldier Boy Kevin Yu hit one into about 18 feet or so on 18 and made a birdie to get to minus 23 as well. So it's Mitchell and Bo Hostler playing the 18th hole, 72nd hole, tied for the lead. Bo goes first and pulls it way left into the trees. It goes directly behind a tree. Keith hits it into the fairway, and Bo is getting a ruling. And while he's getting a ruling, Keith goes ahead and hits it to about 34 feet. And, I mean, his ball is directly behind a tree, directly. I mean, he could get a club on it, and he can hit the ball,
maybe,
but
what, less than a foot, like maybe 18 inches behind the tree.
Could be 2 to 3 feet. It's hard to tell with the depth of the cameras, but there's no, if you want to go at the pin, you have to go out to the right and hook it way around, like big time.
And we can see this happening in slow motion.
And I'm just like, oh my God, he's going to call for an official and he's going to try to get TIO.
Don't you dare, Bo. And
I know exactly how this is going to go. The rules official comes in and he's just like, yeah, I mean, no, I mean, clearly like there's a, but like, no, but like the TIO is between me and the pin. He's like, well, yeah, but there's, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, there's a tree directly in the middle of it. He's like, well, explain the rule to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I want to hit this at the pin, the TIO is in the way. He's like, no, but there's a tree. That's not the shot. So he was a dick about it. Like, straight up, the mics caught the whole thing. And like, he called for a second opinion, of course. And then, man, this is when I started pacing the room. He stands up over the ball and looks like he's going to try to play left of it so he could try to get the TIO relief to the left of it. And don't know what the hell happened because NBC cut to commercial, of course, at this point, and we did not hear the second opinion. We get
like as soon as the guy shows up,
unbelievable.
The timing was unbelievable,
and they didn't come back and replay it, but the relief was not granted. Again, I spent that whole commercial break pacing the room because I don't always join you guys on the no TIO. I don't join you on the no TIO ever, but I do think some of these interpretations that the rule staff give them can be very frustrating at times. And I was terrified they were going to fall for it and do it.
Or they go in with basically with the intent of letting them off the hook of like, hey, you are, it's truly like, I'm going to give you every opportunity to get this ruling instead of, I think it should be kind of the opposite way around, or at least straight down the middle of, hey, like let's look at this objectively. Whereas I feel like they start from a place of optimism.
Yeah, and the tree was in his way. The grandstands were not in his way, right? And he pitched out into the fairway. Then, to his credit, got up and stuffed it and made par. And Keith,
great shot.
Inexplicably 3-putted from 34 feet. He went for the win, went for the putt. It rolled 4 feet 9 inches past, and he missed the comebacker to miss out on the playoff.
He was talking about how he turned away and he didn't watch the ball after it passed the hole. And really, to his credit, first of all, Keith looked great. He had I think the placket for his polo shirt was all the way down to his belly button. It was the longest, deepest placket I've ever seen before. Looked super sharp, and stands up afterwards, does a post round interview with Todd Lewis, and class act as Sansi said. So, but just amazing in this week of, or this fall season of broadcast enhancements and innovation and everything that they missed this, and then they go out to the playoff, and Hostler hits it down the left side and gets TIO in the playoff and it had like an awful lie.
I tried to watch the replay. I had to go back and watch it. That was during bath time. I missed it live, but I don't really understand why he got TIO still there. It's something about the corridor, and the rules official was kind of trying to explain it, but he didn't go very far with it. Basically just got a free drop out of battle. It ended up not mattering because you got it and made birdie, correct? To win.
Yeah, great birdie for you. Made like a 8-footer. Hostler got up and down from the front bunker. Really, really good bunker shot. But yeah, overall, it was just, man, like I've always tried to kind of, I don't know, ever since that whole debacle at Eugene Country Club, where
I knew that was going to come up tonight.
One-handing it and all of that. It's just always, I've had a tough time giving Hostler the benefit of the doubt. And then over the last few years, I feel like I've come back around on him because friends of mine have been like, no, he's great. And and then you see him treat a rules official like that. You're like, man, fuck you. Like, that's not good.
It was a ball don't lie situation. I still felt I was gutted that he made the playoff and Keith did not after that debacle
Yeah.
of begging for that TIO. Which, look, it's within your right as a player to ask for the ruling and get the opinion. You just don't have to be a dick about it, I don't think, and it just doesn't sit well, and it's going to rub people the wrong way. I mean, that was the only thing I saw anybody tweeting about for this whole day on Twitter, was that, like, dude, do not give him that one. But
Which, yeah, this tournament, like, just like the fall series in general, it just doesn't. We don't need it. Doesn't need to exist. Like,
yeah, that last hour is always fun. That's the only thing I always say. Like, it does give you a little time to step away. And anyways, what did you think of the wild innovations to the coverage this week? The game has changed.
I was blown away. Yeah, Jay said it back at Eastlake. He said we're gonna pull these stories forward, especially the Friday cut thing, which that's a part of the soul, the fabric of the PGA Tour. These Friday cuts that, of course, they've done away with.
I was gonna say,
the most important events.
Part of the reason why I was totally didn't care about the cut going away was I was like, they don't show it on TV. Why do people actually care about it? If they had treated the cut this way over the course of the years, they would have turned Friday evenings into like must-see TV, but it hasn't been the case. And I'll salute that one. I think that is a good. I think you got to mix things up a little bit. These Fridays can be a total waste of coverage if you're not actually following that. So I didn't get to see much of it.
The game is good. The they had this go for it thing. Like, they had this short par four. The NBC chime would come on when somebody was going for it. What else? They had a bunch of stats. It's like, yo, like, why do you have to tell us and make this massive deal about you doing this? You should be trying new stuff out all the time, every year, every season, every tournament. Give us new stuff. Instead, it's like, no, just wait. It's going to be different. Just wait. And they're setting up these expectations that they're not going to live up to. And like, incremental progress adds up to big things. But when you tell us that it's going to be a big thing right from the start, and then you give us the same tired, sad sack broadcast, it's just, it falls flat.
Totally. And you can't like call, and maybe I'm inventing this word. I swear they use the word innovation, but you can't call like Todd Lewis interviewing players in the middle of the round an innovation when like the DP World Tour has been doing that like for years. Like, you watch the coverage in the morning at the old course and they're out interviewing the players. John Rahm is walking with, the broadcaster there and fielding questions. It just that got off to a bad start. Yeah. That was a bad start to it. But like the other stuff they did was good. Like JT Poston was calling in from the airport, talking about Keith coming down the stretch. Like, dude, do weird stuff in the fall. I'll celebrate that. I guess I had a problem with 10 years of us complaining about the broadcast, kind of them finally being like, we're going to try some stuff. Was like, okay. That's pretty late in the game to be doing this, but it's a pretty big hill you got to climb here. And it's not, it all kind of doesn't mean that much if you're going to still waterboard us with commercials, which we know they're going to do. Don't have to revisit that, but that's kind of where I stand.
All we need is, and then do, cut away to commercial in one of the most impactful moments of the entire tournament. All you need for a good counterpoint is the DP World Tour production every morning for the last month.
Yeah.
Has been fantastic, and we'll get it again this week for the French Open. I look forward to watching golf when it's on there. It's minimalistic. There's, I learned something about, and I can't say the same thing about anything on, as far as a PGA Tour production on Golf Channel. So, Soly, I do want to say that we did some remote work on behalf of Omaha Productions.
Thank you.
On behalf of ESPN for the PGA Championship this
year. Thank you. That's important context. We appreciate that. The Sanderson re-signed for another year. Look like this event might be potentially going away, but they will be back for at least 2025. So,
which, good for them.
That's good news.
Good for Will Bardwell, our friend. Good for Bunky. Good for everybody down in Mississippi. Also, like, now that the tour is not treating these events like, oh no, this one counts the same as the, Arnold Palmer, Bay Hill, or Pebble, or something else. Like, now that everything's in context and they're actually being honest about, certain events being more important than other events, I think I can get down with it a little bit more.
Totally. Also. Oh, I completely agree. That's why I was riding so hard for the signature event structure was like, yeah, if you just treat the Sanderson like the Sanderson, it all makes way more sense.
Yeah.
When the Sanderson equals Pebble, that's a problem. So I
Yeah.
completely agree with that.
Good season for Kevin Yu, by the way. I don't want to gloss over that either. I mean, he started out really strong. He had T3 in the desert at the Amex, and then final round 67 at Torrey to finish T6 there. And then played well in Palm Beach, played well in Myrtle Beach, and then kind of fell off a little bit towards the tail end. So moved from 90th to 60th in the fall. So he'll be, as of right now, he'll probably need to play well to kind of, stay in that.
50 to
Is
60
it is it
to
s
get in
is
the
it
first
50 to
couple.
70 or 50 to 60?
To get into the
Next 10?
next 10
Yeah,
would be, yeah, he'd have
okay.
to get into the first 2 or 3 signature events. I forget
Yeah.
what it is.
And then Keith, Keith just desperately wants to play in Pebble. That's all he wants. I think that probably irks him more than not getting the trophy or the check this week. It's like I just want to go to Pebble, So we gotta get Keith into Pebble.
We can, yeah, their sponsor exemptions are tight as it is, but yeah, that guy deserves one. He needs one. We need Keith at Pebble. Mr. Skins, David Skins shot 60 on Thursday. I got to admit, I missed that till like late Thursday night. It was like he had a 9-footer for 59 today. I didn't see anything about that, but that was. And then, did you see this story from earlier in the week that the PGA Tour is charging credential fees for agents going into the 2025 season?
I did. Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't mind it at all. It's I think it's $500 and they get dining and on-site parking. So the agents that I've talked to said bring it on. If it puts up a little wall to keep some of the bad actors out, uh, and makes life easier for us on site.
Josh Carpenter on Twitter, President's Cup. NBC drew 1.4 million viewers on Sunday for the U.S.'s runaway win per Austin Karp. 2 years ago at Quail Hollow was 1.89 million on NBC, another U.S. romp. In 2019, the final day from Australia aired on Saturday in prime time, drawing 1.74 million viewers on Golf Channel. So ratings are down. I know Nielsen's getting ready to undergo a change to kind of more reflect streaming in there. I don't know if the Live app is going to count in those adjustments, but ratings are not good. 1.4 million for that event on a fall Sunday, down from essentially 1.9 in another big gap victory from just 2 years ago. Not good. Not very good at all.
I didn't realize the Ryder Cup ratings were so bad from Rome.
Yeah, times
I
like
know
the
that was time
European
zone, but
ones.
still,
Well, it just the big window and its average viewers
yeah,
kind of is how they look at it. So the early morning hours don't really get a whole lot. And a lot of that was on Golf Channel too, which gets a lot less than NBC. Like that was
yeah,
an NBC Sunday from 12 to 6, not a massive window.
yeah.
On network TV. I'm surprised 2019 Golf Channel outdrew. I know it's in prime time, but Golf Channel not on network TV.
Venues matter, man.
Hundred
You know.
percent TC. I cannot agree more.
Eamon had a very interesting piece this week about like should the PGA Tour sell off the international half of the President's Cup and allow basically give them whoever buys it. Let's say it's the PIF. Give them free reign over. Hey, you choose the venue. You grow your side of it. You make it competitive. All of that. I thought it was an interesting case study of similar to what they've done with the European side of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
So,
that's the whole thing. It's
Native
like it's all
American.
under the PGA Tour umbrella, and it's not
Yeah.
like there's not
That's the
two
thing. They
sides.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tour like championship management can't be choosing venues like Royal Montreal and then wondering why it's not competitive
Yeah.
when it's a Parkland course. But I'm still hot about it, man. Can't abide by I woke up on Monday morning to a video of Mike Weir dumping beer all over himself. We can't have that. Have some pride. You got your ass kicked and you made a lot of very poor decisions and disgraced our shield. And you can't be dumping beer on yourself like you won the damn thing. Just can't have it. Can't do it.
I cannot disagree with that. Victor Hovland is going to be out for the year with, I believe, an undisclosed injury. We don't know what the injury is. If I missed that, I apologize. But
Yeah, no, that was yeah, interesting to see. And then the somebody asked DP World Tour hey, does this affect his eligibility? Because he, like he hasn't played in the requisite number of events on DP World Tour this year, and they said no, 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 like we're giving him a medical exemption, no worries at all. So, yeah, so he's still good to go for Ryder Cup.
And then at the Corn Ferry Finals at French Lick, it was a dramatic final hour. I know Braden Thornberry wins the finals. He needed to win the event to get his PGA Tour card. He was outside of the top 50. Going into this top 30 are getting their PGA Tour cards. I think there was about 11-ish spots up for grabs. The rest had mathematically clinched it prior to.
Yeah, 30 cards up for grabs, but yeah, only about 20 of them. 20 of them were already pretty much spoken for. Matt McCarty had already gotten his and was in Sanderson Farms. He got the Battlefield promotion already. So
Thornberry was the only guy that ended up jumping from outside the top 30 into the top 30, yet it came down to, I mean, it was dramatic. Doc Redmond made a late double bogey, got a bad lie in a bunker that he hit, basically cost him his spot in the top 30. And then Zach, Bachow, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Bachu,
he got wet on the late par 3. That water right side dumped one in the water, ended up making bogey, I think, on the hole, but he ended up narrowly missing. He struggled on the 18th hole as well. Sam Bennett barely missed as well, but Brian Campbell had about a 10-foot putt on 18 for par. He was already in or out, or it was not for his sake, but the putt was deciding the fate of two different people. If he made it to share tied for second, then Alistair Doherty would be out and Noah Goodwin would be in, and he makes the putt. So he stays in a tie for second, which diluted Alistair Doherty's T2 finish, which was enough to bump him outside the top 30 and not get a PGA Tour card, and Noah Goodwin got his card.
Yeah, Noah Goodwin had a good post-round, really good post-round interview, and Doc Redmond, he sculled a chip on the 71st hole, straight over the green, made bogey there. He had a double coming down the stretch. So, Doc, he was 57th coming into the week. So
he needed to win.
I think Braden was 51st. Alistair was 46th. So, yeah, a lot going on, but really not a lot going on, in the grand scheme of things. Normally there's a lot more turnover and turmoil within this event. Like in years past, it's felt like 20 through 30, it's been totally up for grabs. And this year it felt like, out of those 10 spots that were really up for grabs, not a whole lot changed. And it was a good,
is that a good thing?
Course.
I'll say, is that a good or bad thing? Because I think I can make the case that if we're deciding status on this, I don't need it to be like an end of season free for all, get in, out, get grab bonk, get the points and get your tour card. And
yeah,
unless you're trying really, really hard to make a very dramatic big rated television product, I would argue against that. You need to have a ton of fluctuation in that final event, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree. I think it's, the less gimmicky, the more solid you can make it, I think the better. I think some of that speaks to this is a really good crop coming off the Corn Ferry Tour.
Who are you most excited about out of this group?
I think Frankie Sappin, the third, he's really enjoyed watching him this year. Tim Vietings had a great year. Harry Higgs is going back to the tour. You got William Mao, Ryan Gerard. He's been one of the hottest players in the world for the last few years. He's going back. Braden Thornberry, I think, kind of delayed success for him. This was the first pro event he's ever won, I believe, and he was kind of slated to be the next big thing coming out of Ole Miss. So excited for him. Isaiah Salinda's a stud, Stanford kid. Carl Phillips, he had he had no status heading into the year, and great second half of the year here. Jackson Suber, our friend Bunky Perkins actually sponsors him. Spencer Levine calls him
Paul Messia guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
calls him the detective. John Pock from FSU. You got Christopher Ventura going back to the tour. We got another Japanese guy, Kaito Onishi. And I think the guy I'm probably most excited about, Audric Potgrider. He moves it, man. He hits the shit out of the ball. Yeah.
Ricky Castillo as well is head of the PGA Tour. It is kind of, I find myself getting just a little less excited about the waves that come in just because of how hard it can be to get into events and how the structure of the PGA Tour has changed and how a lot of these guys have to end up sitting out for a lot and aren't getting a ton of starts, and it's not quite
well,
the
and
same.
They're on the shelf for the next 3 months, too.
They don't get into any fall events? None of them?
I don't think they get into the fall events. No, I think that's just, kind of wrapping up I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some exemptions here or there, but, very, very interesting to see kind of, all right, you're playing some of the best golf of your life. Cool. Go sit for 3 months
Yeah.
and that. Sam Bennett missed it he was odd man out. He was 31st. But even him, like he was, almost 20 points behind 30th. So I think it felt pretty definitive, the guys that got in versus like there wasn't a whole log jam of guys just on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So,
Quick word from our friends at Omni Hotels and Resorts. Fall golf is here, and what better way to appreciate the beauty of fall and get a few rounds in than visiting a few of our favorite Omni Hotel and Resorts on the East Coast, like the historic and newly renovated Omni Homestead in Virginia or the Oak Marsh course at Omni Amelia Island Resort, set to open back up for public play next month following a $7.4 million renovation from Bo Welling. I want to get up there.
I got to get up there.
That place was primed to be redone, and it has a ton of potential. So
there was some great like mid-length par fours there, like shorter, like not drivable, but short enough to where you can do whatever you want off the tee and play a number of different ways.
And just because the sun has set on twilight rounds doesn't mean play stops. Omni Resorts have a ton of cool options to keep it going after dark, like the new Eagles Edge at Omni Orlando Champions Gate with 30 state-of-the-art hitting bays featuring top tracer technology, or explore the lighted 10-hole par 3 course, the Swing at Omni PGA Frisco. Don't forget, there's still time to register for the Omni Generation Cup, a first-of-its-kind tournament aims to grow the game by bringing together golfers of all generations. Find your nearest Omni course and register today at omnihotels.com/Generation Cup. With no shortage of offerings, what are you waiting for? Get to omnihotels.com/golf and play the possibilities.
Solly, one more thing on the Corn Ferry Tour front. I think it was a really good venue. I enjoyed watching, I think 9 under won this week, the Pete Dye course at French Lick. And, I think that goes a long way towards like Corn Ferry Tour is kind of, never ending battle. Same thing with like LPGA Tour of getting better venues and getting places that are
separate the talent,
a little bit more representative of preparing guys with the right skills who are going to succeed on the PGA Tour and identifying those skills. But I think this is a good venue to do more of that, to where it's not just, hey, pin your ears back and go shoot 28 under par.
Pete Dye, professional golf.
Like exactly.
It's just a good standard of difficulty, good way of testing guys, and it's not like the most fun in the world to play, and it's not like my favorite style, but like it's better than like the run of the mill professional golf course that you're going to find in the way that it tests players. So on the Asian Pacific Wen Yi Ding, the 19-year-old phenom from China, he lost in a playoff last year to Jasper Stubbs. He won by 1 over his fellow countryman Ziquan Zhao. Ding was the 2022 U.S. Junior champ. So he is likely to turn pro before he gets a Masters exemption and an Open Championship exemption out of this win, but he will be foregoing those. I was trying to read up on it. I think, as I understand it, he has to accept DP World Tour membership that he's earned, and has to do that before the end of the year. It just seems like an avoidable situation here, and he seems confident that he is going to make it back into the Masters, but I don't know. It's hard to bypass a chance to play at Augusta. Ask Colt Knost about that. He bypassed his chance to play in the Masters after winning the USAM and never made it into the Masters, and that just scares me a little bit. But he is a extremely, extremely talented player. I guess he's already dropped out of Arizona State, and is on his way to turning pro. But
which this would have been his sophomore year at Arizona State, I think. Stud. He's won all over the place, amateur golf wise. So I'm sure Augusta's probably a little bit bummed. Like that would have been a big deal as far as getting a Chinese amateur in via that, and someone that they could penalize for slow play.
Oh God.
Sure.
Shout out to Xian
I was thinking about
oh God. We have I went to this event last year. It was at Royal Melbourne last year, and we have a podcast about a lot of the history of it from last year. If you're interested in it, we have a video kind of profiling the week as well. I didn't get to watch much of it this go around, but yeah, it's going to Dubai, I guess, next year.
Yeah, they announced Dubai, and then they're having the Latin America AM down in outside of Buenos Aires at Olivos, I think, or Olivos.
Really, really cool events that Augusta and the RNA put on, and kind of getting a peek at it last year behind the scenes and seeing kind of what the goals are in terms of developing golf around the world. And instead of, it's a lot more than just a tournament, and they treat it with the same kind of attention that they do the ANWA and pretty much everything else they touch, which is just nothing but class, really. And it's
RNA too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the countries that get represented there, like did not have golf programs kind of before these events started popping up. And it's just really, really impressive stuff. And I'm excited. I don't know when the official timeline is for Africa development, but I'm very curious to see how that ends up getting developed as well. So
I think there was a 62-year-old amateur in the field
really,
this week, and there was a 12-year-old in the field. So it spanned 50 years, and I caught some of it. I caught second and third rounds. I didn't see the final round, but some cool views of Mount Fuji. And I would just ask ESPN Plus. It took me 2 days to realize that where the replays were. I guess it was replay versus on demand is in two different sections of the ESPN Plus app. And so I was like, oh man, like I wish I could have seen that this morning because it was on overnight. And sure enough, I could have. So I caught up on it. But I would just ask them to, you're not the cock. You're better than the cock.
please.
Just invest in your user experience a little bit more.
Anything else you want to get to tonight before we turn it over to Mr. Duval?
There was a big tone piece that dropped in Golf Digest. Knew that was coming out for a little while now. Joel Beal worked on that. Some very good reporting in there. And I think nobody comes out looking good in it. Big tone, his dad, his family, the guys accusing him of, not repaying loans, just, not good all the way around. So
it's a hard read. It's no one tunes into this show to hear I don't have an opinion on this, but it's kind of like there just has to be more that meets the eye. There's these deals that you sign up for where you're signing away. Like it sounds like his dad got him into some bad deals, but are the deals even really enforceable? And it's just a mess. It really is a mess that like, I agree. Nobody comes out looking good, but it's hard to like walk away and be like, man, I feel like I got the full story here. That's not a shot at the reporting at all. It's just like he said, she said, kind of informal way that a lot of this stuff is done. And, it's hard to, the way I read it too is like the background that the Finaus kind of came from was like they had nothing to lose signing up for some of these deals, if that was the case, and probably weren't really actually expecting him to make $40+ million on the golf course. And once you do have it, it becomes a little harder to fork up tens of millions if you need to pay out other. I don't know. It's not pretty. It's not, but it's hard to understand the culture there amongst the family and amongst the Polynesians in Utah. It just is I highly recommend people read the story from Joel Beal and Golf Digest. But I do not feel qualified enough to lend an opinion here.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Just on that front too, I know for a fact Big Tone's dad does not have the best reputation out in Utah, even beyond this, as far as just
the one thing I could read. I do have an opinion on that. Was Big Tone's dad seems like a problem in this, like that's the only
been for a long.
That's
time.
the only thing I walked away with being like, yeah, I feel quite confident in that.
With Gipper and Tony and just all of his shenanigans.
Yeah.
So, did you go over at all to the Furyk and Friends?
Did not make it out to the Furyk. I went Wednesday and Thursday for some interviews, obviously, and some projects we're working on. But rain and nap schedules and teething made it quite difficult for us to get out of the house this weekend. I wanted to go, but was not going to drive 30 minutes just to go get rained on with a 14-month-old. So didn't make it. But it's the replay's on, I think, as we're speaking now. But Rocco Mediate won the Furyk and Friends at Timuquana.
And then,
special thanks to everyone at the Champs Tour that helped me organize a ton of interviews. We have a Stuart Appleby one that'll come out here in the coming weeks, full episode. Then we kind of did a little hybrid episode this past week with Thomas Bjorn and Boo Weekly, a natural duo, kind of those two together. But I just peppered, I got, short little interviews with both and kind of stacked them on top of each other, but got some time to just pepper Thomas Bjorn with Ryder Cup questions. And he played along, man. He gave, that was I really freaking enjoyed talking with him and just like understanding how it all works on the European side and what it all represents. So I recommend people check.
Come on over, Soly. Water's warm.
It's funny how, like, I realized in the middle of interviewing about it, I think I said this in there too, was like, I don't want the Americans to win. I want them to like do what you're talking about. I want them to like have a culture and have a team that's like easy to root for. I want that more than I do just want them to like blow their doors off like they did at Whistling Straits. Like I want them to get it. This is like I'm fascinated by this whole story because of all of the back information of that we have of this European team binding together with less talent and consistently beating the other team. Like it's a really interesting sports story, and like how this U.S. team responds to it is interesting. But like even like just winning isn't like they can win on talent like every other year at
It's
home.
how you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
can they go actually go do it in Ireland? And it would be a great documentary if somebody wanted to do it, into 2027. So
Yeah, but then the Pat in the Hat and Xander wouldn't let the cameras in for the documentary.
probably not, TC. And gosh, it's hard to really square some of the stuff that happened in Rome with the way like Thomas talked about being a part of that team and just dedicating so many years of your life just to being a captain, just being a part of a unit. It's
Yeah.
just cool. It's really cool. There's a reason why he has this 30-year long career, and all we talked about was the Ryder Cup interview. That's on me.
I'm trying to think anything else we missed from the
Well,
week.
Augusta National announced they're donating $5 million to Hurricane Helene relief. They also reported that the golf course has received, quote, a lot of damage. There's the video that was going around of Magnolia Lane with a bunch of trees down there, and we don't know the extent of it yet, but a lot of damage. If they're saying they have a lot of damage, that's probably quite significant. Also think we won't be able to tell when it come to April. So tough time of year though to have this happen though into they can grow the overseed over the course of the winter, but it's not really we're not really grass growing season, and that they would want this to happen a little earlier if they could, but lot bigger problems that come from Hurricane Helene. And shout out, or thoughts are with everyone on the west coast of Florida here in this coming week as well, because Milton seems like a bad dude, and it's for what they just went through there. It's not good.
To be fair, Milton's also Tony Finau's name.
It's tough.
We probably need to let that
Hurricane Milton.
A little bit more.
Hurricane Milton. That's all I got for this week. You got anything else?
You know what? I thought it was cool. The tour posted a kind of a retrospective on the 2014 Corn Ferry Tour graduating class. They posted a picture and little like kind of mini documentary on it, and just the amount of talent that was in that class with seeing kind of the trajectory that all those careers take and who's successful and who's not. Everybody from Blaine Barber, who I think's financial advisor now, to somebody like Zach Blair, who's still on tour, and also Colt Knost was in there, Justin Thomas, you had Ling Mirth, like just all sorts, so much variety in that. So that was a fun picture to look at and all that. So otherwise, no, I think we got the Black Rock Championship, or we got the one in Utah this week.
Yeah,
debut event,
which I would have thought
Black Desert.
I would have thought Big Tone would have been playing in that one. I wonder, with all this going on, if that had anything to do with it. But
so that's kind of northwest of St. George, Utah, and then French Open on the DP World Tour side,
which is where
Ferry Tours, obviously. What's that?
Which is where?
Le Golf National, right? So we had our Roost Championship match play event at Sweetens Cove this weekend. I want to give a shout out and tip my cap to the High Cotton Club. Finally got it done. Their third year of making it to match play in a row, and finally got it done. Just proper players. They always beat their handicap in this event, which is always amazing. But no, they're gamers. I like those guys. Mostly Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky guys.
And if you want to get involved with the Roost, you can, of course, join the Nest, our membership profile, or our membership platform, which is nolayingup.com/join, to get more information on that. Discounts in the shop, all kinds of great stuff, a bonus podcast. And we greatly, if you're listening this far into a fall episode, either you want to just get to David Duval, or you really support our content. So check it out, nolayingup.com/join.
And then, the LPGA is embarking on their Asian swing. We've got the What About China Buick LPGA Shanghai this week, then the BMW Ladies Championship, followed by the Maybank, and then Japan. So full month in Asia for the LPGA Tour. And I'm trying to think what else we got. We got the Ball Knowers are back this week. A lot to discuss. Horrifying Bengals loss today. Our Jags got it done. What a horrible win that was.
Did they get it done? They won the game. They did not get it done.
All they did was, I was kind of rooting against them at this point. I think Doug needs to go. The Niners lost. I'm not happy with Kyle right now. Okay. We got the Clapper and Chris.
We got
Sims.
baseball on tonight, buddy. We got Dodgers Padres, man. That's gonna be. Yeah. I think the World Series winners coming out of that one. So I'm stoked for that one. I've been enjoying the baseball playoffs. They've been really freaking good. But
love it.
All right, we did it, TC. Under hour for our part of it. That up next is our interview with David Duval. I wish I had more time, guys. I've been trying to hunt David Duval for years, and happened kind of quickly. I didn't know. I found out that morning of that I was going to get a few minutes with him. Didn't know how long it was going to last, but I could have talked to that guy for a couple hours about his career, but tried to cram his whole career into about a 30-minute little interview. So that is coming up next. You can follow you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcast feed. You can follow as well on the No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel if you want to see video of that interview as well. We should have a new player interview out coming this Wednesday evening, potentially a U.S. President's Cup participant, assuming. And then we'll be back next Sunday as well with the No Laying Up podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. And here is David Duval. So what's it like for you to come back to Timuquana now? You have a lot of history with this place.
I do, yeah. It's always enjoyable, lots of memories. My dad left here when I was probably 14 or 15 as a pro. You reflect back, you look across at the yacht club, you look at obviously it's a different dock than when I was growing up.
Lots changed here.
A lot has changed, but the memories haven't really faded.
So was it the David Duval golf swing that, if I may say, was responsible for me hitting some shanks back in my day? Because you and Annika had kind of the head turn thing,
right?
Which was it should have came with an advisory for professionals only. As a kid, that was a move I wanted to incorporate but couldn't successfully incorporate.
Because you didn't rotate properly and release it properly.
A lot of things.
That's
properly.
why.
Okay.
If you did that along with it, you'd have been clearing out of the way and you'd have been fine.
So that's famous swing. It was honed here on this range here. Is that right, or where did you?
It started here, I guess, and just kind of through competing locally, nationally, getting into amateur golf, college golf. Like so many people, you get under the gun late in the day, late in the round, and hell, Hogan's most famous for it, right? There's the snapper out of play, and those shots kill you. And so I hit one at one event and got away with it, won the golf tournament. I was like, you know what, I'm not doing that again. And so made sure that the ball never went that way moving forward.
Explain that. How do you make sure the ball, as someone that's currently battling the lefts, how do you make sure a ball doesn't go left? Or what did you do to implement those changes?
I think it was trial and error more than anything. I didn't necessarily understand the mechanics of what I may have been trying to do. I knew what I was trying to accomplish with ball flight, and I just kind of made the ball do that more than anything. A long time ago, a friend of my dad's asked me, we were playing in the wind, he goes, how do you hit it low? And I was young, and I'm like, you just hit it low. Just hit it low. And so, that it's really that. And I think that, as I've grown older, and as I've had struggles and seen the ups and seen the downs of it, I've understood why those shots got produced, and I think that's where players – a lot of recreational players don't understand the game at all that way. They'll stand on a tee box and they'll, hit the house on the right, and the very next shot they'll hit the out of bounds on the left. And guess what? It was the exact same golf swing. They think it's a different swing. It's not. It's the same swing, and it's just a in-to-out rotating face golf swing that produces those same shots, but the timing was different and where you rotated the club face. And so – I fought and fought to find consistency, wanted the golf ball to look up in a certain window doing a certain thing, and that's what I worked on.
When you got out on tour and had the success that you did, I guess when did the light bulb totally go off for you for how talented you were, right? You go through junior golf and all this stuff and you kind of have an idea, but when you get out on the world's biggest tour and you win as frequently as you were, did that make sense to you in your head? Or, does that make sense? Does that question make sense?
I kind of, yeah, I guess, I mean, there's an implication of arrogance in there that I don't agree with. But I know you don't mean it that way. I know you don't, but
but you know,
I was a slow bloomer at every stage, locally, regionally, in the junior events. It took me time to get comfortable, time to win golf tournaments, amateur golf, college golf, the exact same thing. You know, I had aspirations to play professionally dating back to early teens, certainly by 14. And I think, you know, I look back, I qualified for the U.S. Open down at Bay Hill when I was 18 and got up to Medina and played, and I was under par every round. I ended up shooting even par the first day, finished at even par the second day, finished at even par the third day. Went out Sunday and was 3 under par after 7 holes, was 4 shots behind the lead. I mean, I you know, folded and collapsed like a wet paper bag at that point. I think I shot 77, but at that point I knew I could play. Yeah. I knew I could play out and compete, you know. And then I was fortunate to get a start in Atlanta when I was in school at the Bell South back in the day, Atlanta Country Club, and I was a junior in school and was leading the golf tournament after 3 days, and kind of during the week. Got to be around some of the guys and practice and practice rounds and such, and most all of them were incredibly encouraging. I would ask them questions about, like, my ball flight, different things. They're like, you know, they're like, don't change a thing. Just leave it. You know, like, do I need to hit it higher to play out here? Do I need to just do that? Just do that. You know, and although, again, in the final round playing with Tom Kite, I shot, I don't remember, 76 or 7 or something. I played my way in the final group and was leading a golf tournament as a junior in college. And so it's like, all right, now I know I can play on tour for sure. And then when I turned pro, my goals, I think, were probably a bit different, maybe not as I thought they were hyper-focused, but they weren't so much that I want to win this event, I want to win that. Mine were simply, I'm going to work and find out how good I can become. I want to maximize what I have. And I didn't know if that was running in the top 10 every year, top 30, top 50 on the money list, top 125. I didn't know. But I was going to damn sure put in the time to find out.
And when you did have the success that you did it was it as validating as you were expecting it to be?
Probably. I guess it was. You know, Peter Jacobson, I don't even know if they have that program any longer, but like they had this kind of Big Brother program, and he was my big brother when I came out on tour. It wasn't like, again, the same exact thing. The only place I won quickly, I played I think it was 7 events on tour through sponsors exemptions after I turned pro, and then made my way to the Nike tour to finish out the season. And I believe I was in New Mexico playing somewhere. Finished about, I think, as I recall, it was like 14th, but back then it was top 25, got in the next week, and then I won the next one in Wichita. And that's the first kind of time it like translated quickly. But I got on tour and I finished 11th on the money list my first year and didn't win a golf tournament. I finished 10th the next year, still didn't win a golf tournament. And now I've run through the summer of my 3rd season and haven't won a golf tournament still. And there's, it's like, when is this going to happen? Is it going to happen? And
7 runner-ups, I think.
I think that's what it was, yep. And then I was around Jake some during Kingsmill that week, and he's just like, don't worry. You'll be fine. It's going to. And once it did, you just realize that there's not anything different you have to do. And through those 7 runner-ups, and I imagine there were some other opportunities I had where they weren't the runner-up finishes, but maybe a 3rd, a 5th, or something like that. I think of those 7 runner-ups, I think once, it's not like I necessarily played great in all of them, but I think one time I didn't play well. But other times just, put up decent scores or even slightly better than decent and just got beat. But that's because of the caliber of play. And even though you might be leading something, you go into final round and you don't put up 67, you're going to get beat. 68, you're going to get beat. And that's just tournament golf, professional golf.
I guess when is your first, Tiger Woods experience, or what was your kind of guys' relationship like in the late 90s when you're having all the success he's had? He's just come out here. Were you guys friendly? Did you have much of a relationship? You guys played the World Cup together famously in 2000, but I'm kind of curious. I know he had said you were one of the few guys that he was concerned with out on tour. I don't know if that's the exact wording, but I'm just curious kind of what your competitive relationship was like.
Competitive or
both? I guess competitive and non-competitive.
We were friends, and you know, I don't know what the word is adjective is to describe him as the icon, you know, but obviously he came out and turned pro and had success, then started to win a little bit, and then started to win some more, and you know, people, you know, Tiger Woods, especially today I believe he's 47 now. I mean, that's a career, a generational time period that he became that icon. Back then, when he turned pro, it's not like he turned pro and was the best player in the world. You know, but everybody knew him, everybody knew who it was, and everybody expected a lot. But it took time to kind of the aura of it to all continue to build up. And for me, you know, we were pretty, I think, probably one of his closer, better friends. You know, Mark was, O'Meara. I think as much as anything, he trusted us and, you know, knew that we were just his friend, didn't really give a crap about the other stuff. But when you have somebody like that, as it just grows and grows and grows, you know, that circle has to tighten and tighten and tighten, and that's just kind of how it played out.
How did the World Cup, how'd that come about? Did you guys come up together, the two of you, to decide to play in it? Was, I guess that event doesn't really exist in its current form.
Was it not?
It was a WGC at the time, but I mean,
was it?
I don't remember. I was 14 years old. I don't remember the story of how you guys ended up teaming up or what that week was like.
I think more than anything, the tour came to us and asked. I think that's what it was. I guess maybe told we were the ones who were eligible. I don't exactly remember either how it came about, but we played in Argentina. Was that 2000?
I thought Japan was 2000 when you guys won. We chipped in.
We got beat there.
Oh, you got beat there. You won in 2000.
We won in Argentina.
You lost in the playoff in 2001.
We lost in the playoff the next year,
right.
I guess it was. Yeah.
That's right.
And,
yeah.
you know, it was kind of, you know, those were 2 great years. I like to look at it that, you know what, although we didn't win the one in Japan, nobody beat us in regulation for 2 years. Had to go to a playoff of the second year for us to get beaten in regulation. So it was a cool couple of events.
I've heard this story. I've heard this reference, and I honestly don't know where the origin traces back to, but something along the lines, and I feel like we've brought it up a lot on our show over the years, of after you won the Open Championship in 2001, something along the lines of either on the flight back or something where you came to the realization or had a question of some kind of, like, something along the lines of, is this it? Or some kind of weird moment of peaking and not maybe feeling the reward of the major that you thought was going to come. I'm putting a lot of words in your mouth. I'm wondering does that sound familiar to you, and if you could explain that.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was a bit of is this all there is kind of thing. And, you know, and the word you just used in asking the question, peaking, see, that was the problem. You know, that was not even close to peaking. You know, I don't know what the number, I keep seeing 20 for some reason. I've won 20 times as a professional around the world. And the way I describe it to people is, you know, obviously I never won the Masters. But from 98 through 01, I could have won all of them. Yeah. And I didn't win any of them. But my point being is that of all those wins, the Open I won is the worst I hit the golf ball. And I'm not saying I hit it poorly, and I'm not saying I hit it bad, but of them, it's the worst I hit it. And it's kind of like, after all these other chances, after all these other misses, it's the week that you don't even hit as good as you can, or you didn't expect to, and you win that week. It's like, are you serious? So it was kind of something along those lines. Yeah.
Interesting. What do you that 2001 remains just one of the great all-time Masters. If I remember right, is that the year on 16? Did you go long? Did you bogey 16 that year? Do you remember 2001?
I don't know. I bogeyed it a couple times. I think I did that year. I think I, you know, as a predominantly fader of the golf ball, that back left was not always the easiest for me to get to, and I think it cost me. 98 cost me. I got it up on the right shelf when Mark made that putt on 18 to win. But I hit a beautiful shot that year, just to the right of the flag, with a 7-iron. I think I was playing 180, low 180, something like that, and it flew over the green, and which is entirely unexpected. And at, I don't know what that distance would have been, close to 190 yards, and it kind of bounced through a little bit, in a bad spot.
The reason I asked that is Bones told us a story on the pod once about what happened, like 3 years later in 2004, he had watched a bunch of old footage from Masters, and he specifically cited, like, if you watch 2001, when David Duval hits the shot, he's posing on it, cannot fathom that it would go long. There's just something in the air on Sundays at Augusta to make it go long, and it made them. They were between 7 and 8 iron in 2004 when Phil won, and they went hard 8 and left it underneath the hole. But like that, you going long on that shot may have changed things. I don't know if you ever heard that story.
I'm glad I could help somebody out with that.
I didn't mean it that way, but I'm sure that's probably how you hear it. But you've competed in a lot of major championships. Can you compare the feeling of being in contention in the back nine at Augusta with anything else in your career?
Well, it's all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the lore of the Masters, I think a lot of it, look, it is, an amazingly run event, amazing venue. We all know it, but a lot of that's just from familiarity. They play there every year.
Yeah.
The others move around to the great courses of the world, and I think it's the familiarity of the fan knowing basically what every hole looks like, especially with the expanded coverage they've done in the recent times, and seeing front nine and stuff like that. That everybody feels like they know the golf course, and I think that's the big difference.
Again, I was probably around 15 around this time. Can you take us to, as I understand it, was spraining your vertebrae, was that the first of injuries that you encountered, and kind of what was the timeline of that? Can you take us to when you felt like injuries became a more prominent part in your golf career?
It was 2000.
2000.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Basically, I sprained my back, if you will, I guess is the best diagnosis I ever got. I was actually at the Scottish Open in 2000 where I finished, but I probably should have stopped, and then obviously going to St. Andrews the next week. Frankly, had no business being on the golf course. I went out and played on Wednesday with Tom Watson, and he saw me teeing it up and then getting a ball out of the hole on the first hole, and he's like, "What are you doing out here? You can't move." I said, "I know, but I've never seen this golf course in this wind." And so I felt like I had to be out there, but that's kind of where it started, and there's been, I don't know, 15 others since then.
What was, I guess, specific to the back, what was the downstream effect of that? Did you have to make changes to your golf swing because of the back, and kind of, can you take us back into that?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't that I had to make changes to my back. Is that my back made me start making compensating moves.
Sure.
And so, from address, position, alignment, swing path, things like that, something I obviously wouldn't have wanted to do. I've heard it through the years, and, certainly not in the last decade or so, but when I hit the bottom of it, that, I was trying to change my swing, and it's just the furthest thing from the truth. But that's the armchair pundits, that don't really know anything about the game. I never once tried to change my golf swing. After going through the injuries and stuff, I certainly sought a restoration project. I tried to restore my golf swing and try to put it back and move like I did through the 90s, early 2000s, but never once tried to change my golf swing. Well, my golf swing turned out to be fairly repetitive and fairly effective, and so I just wanted to hit it like that again.
Where do you look back and think of the 2009 U.S. Open week often? Is that it's very random from where I'm sitting as a golf fan. As I was not covering golf at that time, so I don't have the off the top of my head the memory of the lead up into that. But do you look back and say, where did that come from?
The best way to explain it, I think, is that I was doing some decent things, playing decently, certainly, not knocking down the doors and stuff, but playing decent. And I just felt like I could play that golf course. And when we played in 02 there, I missed the cut. It was obnoxiously difficult. I don't know how, you probably don't remember anything about it, but
I remember the weather. That's
well, that's 09. I'm talking 02, the first
one.
one.
Sorry.
I mean, there was remarks like on the 10th hole, when people had to start there on 10, into the wind, they were literally trying to hit it into the walkway. They couldn't get it like, you go to a Corey Pavin and Nick Price into the way. I mean, it was 240-something yard carry to the fairway. It just was kind of ridiculous. But the golf course, the way it was routed, the way it moved, I kind of was done with it. And although it, it kicked me in the teeth like so many other people that week, when I was going back there, I was like, I can play that course though. And so my challenge was to get there. I wasn't exempt, so I had to qualify. I was exempt past the first stage, and so I entered the qualifier up in Ohio, up in Dublin, Columbus, whatever area you want to call it, right outside after the Memorial. I think I shot about 66 in the first round, and was in a really good spot. And I figured if I hit it in every fairway and knocked it onto every green in the second qualifying round that day, the worst I'd shoot is 69, and I'd qualify. And I hit every fairway, and I hit 18 greens, and I three-putted once for a bogey and shot 69 and qualified. And so it was just a matter of getting there. And then I went to Memphis to play that tournament and missed the cut. And I was like, this is probably actually a really good thing, not to have to play here this weekend or not have the chance to and go up there early and get out on the golf course and kind of get around it. And so that's kind of how it transpired. And the whole week was obviously, obnoxiously wet and rainy, and it was underwater. And the really under those circumstances, you could almost argue it shouldn't have been competed. Should have been played. I mean, the mud balls were obnoxious. You see it on tour when they'll do the lift, clean, and place, things like that. But obviously USGA won't do that. But
if there was ever a time to do it, it was that way.
You had literal chunks of mud that were bigger than they were like the big shooter marbles and stuff. I mean, there were huge chunks on the ball, and you'd see a pro who has a 5-iron, and you expect him to hit 190 yards towards the green and go 170, 60 yards left of the green. I mean, it was crazy. It was, so it was a very challenging long week, and never hit golf balls so many times in the dark in the morning, getting ready, and but the week, it went pretty well. Obviously, I didn't win.
Went pretty well. You almost won the U.S. Open. It was an incredible week. It's an
rough
incredible
start
story.
on Monday, so. I hit a beautiful shot on number 3. And it's probably the worst hole you could start on. Restart your round, the par 3 there. It's 4-iron, and it buried under the lip and made triple, but fought back and just had a chance.
I know we're trying to cram a very lengthy career into a short period of time here, but I think one of the iconic images of your career is also 1999 Ryder Cup. Your singles match, you close that out. The hands behind the ears, all that pump up and stuff. Was that planned? Were you expecting to be that emotional after winning that win? What kind of? Because it was obviously that was a very dramatic week, but we hadn't seen that kind of spirit from the American side up until that singles day, obviously, because it hadn't been going as well.
Well, the American team, our side got beat on pretty good, and had been getting beat on up until that Ryder Cup. I'm talking about previous Ryder Cups before it. It was almost like there wasn't, there was no passion for it. We didn't care, and it's just the furthest thing from the truth. And the camaraderie and on the golf course, obviously, as we're playing, practicing in the team room, is every bit as great as you would expect or want it to be as a fan or as a captain or assistant captain. And the first couple of days, nothing went our way at all. The European side pitched it in. If they pitched it in 5 times, we pitched it in 1 time. And, they made the 30-footers and the 40-foot, the things that flip matches. I mean, I guess you look at the score of recent President's Cup, and it didn't look very close, but I heard something today that the USA won 1 more hole for the week. I mean, that's how close those things can be. But we looked at it, and, especially when they had the singles draw come out as a team, and it's like, you're looking at it, and it's like, we can do this. You just got to get it rolling a little bit. And so I think that's where the emotion from the American side came from, especially just getting beat on because, it's funny, especially that year. That's the year where, I got in trouble. I got crucified in the press. Mark did a little bit. Tiger Woods did a little bit. You had that Christine Brennan from USA Today wrote an article lying about what I said. Skip Bayless did the same thing up there in Chicago, because I was up on the stage saying, I don't know anything about the payment to play. I never said I wanted to be paid to play in it. I said my frame of reference is the charity monies that the President's Cup gives the player. Let us direct some funds, because they're generating huge revenue. That's kind of where my frame of reference was. And, people got vilified for doing it. And now you look at it, next year will be, 26 years later? And the players have gotten to participate in it and direct charities to the things they have passion for and the things they want to be involved with. And I'm not sure what that amounts to, but it's a lot of millions at this point. And I think that was the equitable thing to do for the PGA of America, follow the model that the PGA Tour set up. And now, it's a pretty cool thing, and it's been beneficial for everybody.
What are you most proud of your entire playing career? What comes to mind when I ask that?
I don't know if there's a single thing per se. Winning the Players. Turns out same week my dad won his event on the Champions Tour. Winning a money title, winning a Varden title. Playing the competitive teams are the thrill of a lifetime. They really are. There's some pride in the World Cups Tiger and I played in, frankly. As we sit here now and reflect on it, there's so much happened good and so many things that, I would say if this had gone that way, I hadn't got hurt here, this hadn't happened, I could sit here and think, I could have been a 2, 3, 4 major winner and a 25, 30-time tournament winner, But with that being said, when I guess all I did was say I'm pro in 93, if you'd have said you can have all this, you'd take it. Kid from 100%. Timuquana, from down here, you'd take it, But as all that has gone on through my life, as I've gotten to experience all those highs, all those lows, and one of the best things I look back on is there's very few people in sport, and I think there's very few individual athletes that can say that they know exactly what the top of the world looks like in their profession, and they know what the bottom looks like. And I've been both places. and so I have a great appreciation for this game, for what these players do behind me, maybe more appreciation for what I did, because I got to see it looking up at it, what it took to get there, on the tournament side of golf, But as it is now, having the life I've lived for the last 20-plus years, having my wife that has been the blessing of my world, her giving me the opportunity to be a father, and then having a couple more kids, the greatest week of the golfing world is easily, and it's not even close, the PNC. And so professional life I lived on the golf course that led to that. Whatever the ups were, whatever the downs were, it's all been worth it.
100%. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know it's a very busy week, but best of luck this week. And my buddy owns the course record here. I need somebody to beat that.
What is it?
61, but it was, we need that beaten, okay? We need that to come down. So appreciate your time as always.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.